didn't go through. Didn't get votes yet,
There's still something about the TDP.
possibly rolled it into a different bill because the bill that it was in.
But
Should be
there's
good. We're recording and transcribing.
new proposal. We should raise them to $1,000.
Okay, are we ready then?
Whenever you are.
Yeah.
Okay.
Was
All right, good morning, everyone. It's 9:02, so we'll go ahead and call the meeting. First order of business is I brought treats.
yes. First one you're taking. Thank you.
They're chock full of peanuts, so if you don't like peanuts,
Don't make it feel that you're
Yeah.
allergic or anything.
yeah, I mean, I was hoping. You always take a chance when you make something with peanuts or tree nuts or.
These days, although somebody has to explain to me why so many more people are allergic now than they were when I was a kid. I don't get it.
No, no.
I trust everybody signed in when they came in the room. Do we want to do introductions? Looks like maybe we have some newer people online with us that might not know everybody. At least I don't recognize all those names, so. Let's just do a quick round of introductions and then we'll get to it. So I'm Kelly Goward, the chairperson and work for the ODC network.
Paul Sachs, Regional Planning Representative, Port Toronto County.
Dan Table, Organicycle, Compost Park.
Matt Rosser, W1, represent the landfills, Russ Borsma with Aero Waste, represent the hauler of the solid waste company.
Carrie Bliss, from Headless, and we represent, I think, the processor. I forget the exact words for it, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. You're the waste diversion facility.
Okay.
And I am Kim Walters. I am the materials management planning coordinator, as well as I represent the designated planning agency, which is public health. And I will bring it to online, which we have staff and other regional DPAs representatives. So we'll go to, I'll bring it to Heather Little since she's also Ottawa County staff.
Hi, I'm Heather Little. I just started and I work with Kim.
Welcome.
And then we can go to Steve Faber with Grand Rapids. Kent County.
Good morning. My audio is a little jittery this morning, but hello, everyone.
This internet is not.
Okay. And then, so yeah, Steve Faber, he is represents DPA for Kent County. And then Heather.
Hi, good morning. I'm Heather with Allegan County.
Christina.
Hi, Christina Miller, Materials Management Planning Specialist, and I work for Eagle. The Eagle people. I think Jeff is gonna join too, I think, but he's not here yet.
He has been historically, so he's been to the last few. All
Okay, sounds good. Thanks.
right, perfect.
Okay, well, thanks all for being here in person or virtual. We do just have a quorum in the room, so we can take care of business today. Which the first order of business is to approve the minutes from our October meeting. Look for motion to approve those.
Make a motion to approve this percentage.
There's support. Support. Any discussion? I did see one typo.
All right.
In under 6A, the last item. Decision is spelled wrong. So one little typo.
We need people like you.
Yes.
I'm terrible at proofreading, yeah.
I even proofed it and missed it too, so.
Yeah, well, I know when you look at things like so many times,
Mhm.
then all it takes is a new set of eyes, like, oh, that doesn't look right.
Yeah.
Okay, so one little minor correction, anything else?
Guess I just go to 6C. I1, fine.
There we go.
The education.
Another little typo. Very minor.
Yeah, those just then.
I.
6C, I1.
Yeah, it's that last kind of point under there. Define. Okay, so we have a motion and support and minor corrections. So all in favor of supporting with those typo corrections, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Thank you. Public comment. We don't have any public in the room, but anybody online have anything they want to share at this time? None. Our next item is to approve the agenda. We have a motion to approve the agenda.
So. Or
Any discussion? All in favor of approving the agenda as presented, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. So then our next action item is the work program. I know some people did provide comments to Kim. You've made some updates. Apologize, I just had some comments this morning.
Oh, there's Tricia. All right, and my favorite thing to do, which is to try to share a screen. Being in my existent life. Let me see if I can. I will try to
She switched me over to a Mac from PCs. I'm a bit of a hot mess right now.
Yeah.
that's a good switch.
Yeah. Didn't force it, but I
Okay.
said if we're gonna do this, I wanna do it over the holidays when I'm like my slowest time of year now.
Sure.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things I like about it, I will say that so far. There's a lot of good things, but there's some bad things.
We'll check in with you later.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big change.
It is a big change.
I've never done Mac. I was afraid of ever. Like I touched an iPhone for like a month and I'm like, oh, I can't do it. And then I went back.
Well, I have already done iPhone and iPad thing.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So I'm gonna try to share my desktop. So we got Ted now here. Those who are online. He represents the township. And I am going to see if I can share my screen down here. Wait, make sure I can do that. Share. And George. Bush. Yes. But that's the problem is because then you guys can't see what they, that's why I don't do that.
I think if you.
I have to move it up there
Yeah,
and
you
then,
put it up
yeah,
there
and then we can't see
first
down,
and then
yeah,
share it.
yeah, that's, I knew there was a
There-
problem.
I know that dual screen thing always.
That's why I stop share there, and bring it back up there.
But yeah,
They're peanuts, so. Don't use your religion, please.
All right, guys, can everyone see the work program? I'm going to take that as a yes, since no one said anything.
Yes, yes.
Okay. All right, so I will say that my goal and objective was to make this, so my life's goal is to live by something I learned in high school for the MEP test, is KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. So the law states essentially 4 items. And those are pretty much what you see in the numbers 1 through 4. And, I realized even more people slipped in when I wasn't looking. And, so that was my objective, is to, some more disclaimers. Eagle is allowing for us to request extensions. It is my intention not to request that due to it not being stated in the law that you can do it. My intention is to meet the deadline, submit it, for there is no penalty in submitting something that they don't like. It will meet what they request. Everything I have in here should meet what they request. And if they don't like it, then they can submit anything that they can submit edits and stuff that they don't like. And I want this to be a living document. The thing is that there's a lot of stuff changing in Ottawa County. There's a lot of elements that are not just MMP related with this program that are affecting this. For example, we have the Southwest landfill type items that are coming from budget items. We have an existing program that has issues that we're working on too, that are OSHA related money. So there's monies there's a lot of living pieces. So we can't just say, boom, here's money related budgets and stuff like that. There's tons of pieces. So for us to even just be like, boom, here's all these things and here's a work program, I don't think that that's even possible. But I think it is possible to be like, here's the first run. And then we're constantly looking at this. We're always updating it, changing it, tweaking it. I think that's what a real work program should be. And this is our first round of dreams, this is the first little thing. Here's our first thoughts, and then we're looking at it. And some of the paragraphs kind of state little things. I did, change little add paragraphs to kind of, have little scopes from the very first one I sent you guys. So that's what this is. And then, so that was my thoughts. The big thing is a timetable, which it's very broad. The first part, let's see if it'll let me scroll down. Let's see. Yeah, well, okay. So a timetable with accomplishable task is one of the items in the law that it states that it has to have. And I talked to Christina, who's on this, and she stated it could be broad. It doesn't, and that's part of what we were initially hoping that Eagle would provide us, is like, well, what kind of task do you want? What kind of timetable do you want? A 1 year, a 3 year, more detail? Well, we weren't getting that. So it could be as detailed or as broad as you wanted. There was no clarifying. So I went broad with it. And I think that that's where we can then, once we know more, once we can go deeper.
I think that's great.
Yeah, so.
It gives you a lot of flexibility.
Yeah, so that was,
Right now. Everybody does. Everybody's doing this for the first time.
yeah. So public participation, I think that was, we can be, once we know more, we can add more public, obviously this is open to the public. I want to know, I think it's really important that we engage, all that type of stuff. It's for the public, so the public should have every chance. This is where the most work needs to be done, is how much money. And I think you had made a comment back in your email this morning. This is where I think it's the most complicated, is we do currently have host agreements and our funding currently, and I was trying to focus this all solely on what's considered MMP related items. And the MMP, from my understanding of it currently, doesn't hit much on household hazardous waste related items, even though Christina would know more on this. Historically, it has, but now it's more like recycling of hard to recycle items. And that's where there's some clarifying items. So I wasn't sure. So our program now, so that's where I don't know. So that's why I was trying to do like development. Oh yeah, there's definitely some typos in there. I think because it's in the
Table?
table, thank you. It didn't auto, yeah, I didn't catch it. Yeah. And like I can visually tell, but this was also like last night, so. Um, but yeah, so I was trying to do more like related base, but our funding's kind of, and then there's also the Southwest landfill part of it, so I don't know our funding situation. So,
Is Ottawa requiring you to commingle those things, like? Can we, I mean, even if you have, thinking from a business perspective, so keep in mind, I'm not,
Yes.
never have been a city or county employee.
Mhm.
But even when we have a business unit, we can have a breakout that's like a division of the business unit or a section of the division unit that has its own P and L.
yeah,
Like, can we just I mean, even though it's gonna fit in, think of it as a module, it's gonna
Yeah.
fit into the Ottawa County budget in a certain category.
yeah.
Can you keep this part of it separate just for the simplicity's sake?
Yeah. That is a discussion that we hope to bring to the new board.
Okay.
So it was, we had tried to bring it with the administrator, the Gibbs. And then he, did some stuff. And then
Okay, just.
went
it's fine.
somewhere,
It's in
yeah,
process.
yeah. So we've been tabling it.
Okay.
So, and then some other stuff happened. And then there's a lot of hopes and dreams. So January, February, we're hoping for a lot of changes.
Okay.
So along with funding, there's a lot of funding issues right now. Tons of funding issues. So, so that's where that's another part of why I couldn't do a good work program either. Like that was part of like, I couldn't robustly do anything. Like some of the other counties have this very elaborate cost analysis stuff. But because of the funding issues that we have currently with my program, I couldn't even go into that. So, but what I could do is say, if I want a good program that could deliver something good for our county, I am currently doing, I'm over, like, I can't do everything right now. Like my staff and I are doing things that we can't just do, like, so I need to have like another specialist. I need to have some interns to help us just collect data. I just need someone to just be there. I need to have someone help, like facilities currently won't help us with, maintaining our sites. I am also a facilities person. I know how to do asphalt stuff. I've done quotes for that. I'm a scientist that can also do asphalt and repairs and quotes for that kind of stuff. So I'm hoping to have someone with that. Pretty good educational stuff now too, all sorts of stuff. So I'm a one-person show. And so just kind of breaking that stuff out. And then we have a consultant too that's more an expert in that, which is something else we're gonna talk about later. That kind of stuff. And then some of this I did look at other people's work program that's out there, and they had things like training, workshops, post supplies, and kind of got some of their numbers too. And that's where I got some of this type of elements too. And so that's where I kind of got a little bit more for cost. That's
Next
it.
question.
the
I
part
guess
of
the first
discussion,
question I
yeah.
had was when this is submitted the first time around, as updates are made to it, does it require reapproval? Just say, you said it'd be a dynamic document or
Mhm.
kind of stuff. So does it require continuous
It's like this.
approval?
Hi,
Christine is holding her hand up like she has a comment.
oh yeah, go ahead, Christina. I see your hands up there. Good catch. She is the state, so.
Well, I'm part of the state. That doesn't mean I know all answers.
You are the one and
Um,
only.
Yeah. So I was gonna wait till you got to the end, but since he asked the question, I thought I would interject some. So there's a couple
That's
things
fine.
that we are aware of now. We do know that the work programs will have to be, you can have it out for the 4 years or 5 years or however many years you want to like list the stuff down, but we're gonna need to know a 1 year tasks that you're planning to do and 1 year budget. So the first thing is so we'll probably immediately, I don't know. I love the broad. Like we talked about this, Kim. Like I love the fact that it's broad because it kind of everything would fit under there. But if you know meeting dates, like you guys have already approved your meeting dates, for example, maybe topic levels, you could put those as tasks under there. And even if you don't meet on those dates, it's okay. But those would be tasks that you could complete. And then and as for the budget side, I would make sure we know what the fiscal year is, like what your fiscal year is. If it's the same as ours, it is, but make sure we know those things there. And then when it comes to, so you're going to get a grant. So this is going to be technically, once it's approved and all the iterations that we have back and forth, make sure it's approvable, right? That's actually your grant application. So this will be your application to us, and then once we approve it, then we're going to initiate the grant contract signature to sign for the grant. Does that make sense? So that changes it a little bit, which is nice. It gets rid of some steps there for you. But that would mean we would need to know some additional information. Who you're, I mean, you already told us this, but you know, who's the DPA, what date the planning committee approved the work program once it's done, who's officially allowed to sign the grant, be the signer, the signatory for the grant, grant manager, those type of things. We might ask those type of things, and then we'll want to have your committee breakdown. So in this work program, you'd have all the committee memberships and representation. And then in this, the things that we are going to be looking at are the tasks and the budget, really, right? A timeline to make sure that we're making sure that you're doing it, and then your budget component of it. So those would stay, like, as part of your grant contract. This approved work program will be part of that, right? That'll be a part of the appendix. And what we're anticipating is that will be what it is. Now, quarterly, I believe you'll report, and then that's when you're going to start building on it and making a living document so that you can keep track of all those things. And I don't foresee that we'll have to amend your grant contract just because you're adding things to it. It would, the time you would do that is if budget things change, like things that you know that need to be done need to be changed, or a task that you decided that is completely not within that year one task list. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Something major, meeting dates and that's not going to be a big deal. Let's say all of a sudden you guys decide to do some implementation items or something. That would probably require that. But we're hoping that these work programs will be a living document that you can keep track of all your stuff. You know what I mean? Going forward. But you'll have one approved one, and this one won't change in your grant contract. Like whatever the one once it's approved. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because from my understanding, you guys were considering the grant to be similar to like the infrastructure grant, correct? Where you have that one Excel spreadsheet type thing that you just keep updating. Yeah, that's what I figured.
Yeah. And so the one thing immediately for me, I don't know. We're meeting with our manager today to kind of start going through the work programs that were submitted, because we have some in for approval that's been in for approval for a few months. And we're trying to figure out like what actually is going to be required in these. But like some of those items that I just mentioned, we know will probably be in there. So, and if you don't have it, we'll just ask you for an updated section, like we've done in the past. So that's not a big deal. But if you know things, I would put them in there. Mainly meeting dates, like give us a more robust 1 year task, but that are high level. Like I'm not saying get in the nitty gritty, like meeting dates would be great. You're meeting, and we know that these are the topic areas. If you know them, then that's great.
Yeah, in January we'll probably figure out for next year's. But yeah.
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 And then the other thing that I want to mention that I don't see in this, and I don't know 100% how it's going to play out, but you may want to identify a budget line item that you've identified that the money for work program development specifically, and any support you needed to efforts to obtain support for the plan, the planning committee makeup, the consultation to kind of to try to get back some of the money that may have been spent during this interim time frame. So I don't, does that make sense?
Yes.
I don't know how much
Oh,
but
that's
you may
lost.
want to identify that. Say it again.
It's just lost. It's just lost. It's just me. It's my time.
Okay, so that's up to you. I'm just telling you, if you wanted to identify some of that, you might be able to get that back right away. So
All right.
even your time. So
Yeah. Alright.
But okay, I think that's all I got right now, but I'll still sit here and listen. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah.
We appreciate it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's helpful.
That's helpful.
Yeah, that's,
Things to work on until the
Yeah.
27th.
yeah,
I feed off of.
yeah, go ahead.
This is, the higher level makes sense to me, but at least getting those additional tasks in for the fiscal year breakdown also, that's a good addition. But the staffing component, and I emailed you a series of questions that I had about.
Yeah,
staff.
and I put that in there. So, cause you had mentioned, like, are they gonna do it full-time, part-time? So what I did was added, I think I broke them down to, so I added like, I switched them down to like 0.5 full-time equivalency because they'd probably be working half-time. I figured half the time working specifically on MMP type items, where the other half the time would be more existing program based type items. So like the other part of it would be what's already existing, which is still technically could be related to MMP since the sites are already drop-offs, but yeah.
Yeah, I saw
So,
that.
because I'm solely funded through the landfills, which are already part of this program.
Yes, so I saw those additional
Yeah,
clarifications, which is good. So as I think about the total cost of this program, you have your salary and fringe,
Yeah.
so that's the half FTE, but that is already funded. And let's see if I can
Yeah.
explain this eloquently
Mhm.
enough, and succinctly enough. So we've got this year one, there's things to do,
mm-hmm,
right? And your position's already funded. We're gonna get, at some point, we're gonna get this grant figured out. It'd be nice to know that time frame.
Mhm.
You'll be reimbursed through their grant for your time.
mm-hmm,
Then that grant, at what point, it just, I think, helpful for us to understand what benchmarks we need to achieve, and that's why I appreciated those comments, kind of breaking down the fiscal year. When would we be able to bring on the part-time spot for the intern? And then ultimately, that funding, since your position's funded, the big question for me in my emails are what happens after this grant funding ends? There's
Yeah.
no guarantee that what we're gonna have created will be funded, other than your position seems more steady. So
Yeah.
I just think it's important to have a good understanding.
Yeah.
If we bring these positions in, what are these
Yeah.
other mechanisms to keep them funded? Otherwise, this whole thing dissolves.
yeah. So do you know much about how my program is funded? No. So I am not funded at all by general dollars. There is zero general dollars.
Landfill dollars, yes, I know.
Yeah. So if there is no host agreement, if there is no ordinance, if there is nothing, so if we don't fix those, there would be no funding either. So if we don't figure that stuff out either way, So that with the current funding structure now, we can't even cover the cost of the existing program. So because the program is already growing to a point where there is not enough funding. That's what I said, there's already funding issues. It's a $500,000 program. But it's not getting in, it's more than a $500,000 program. So they need to get that. And so that's why we're considering looking into ordinances and such as, and that's why it's like Steve Faber, we've been talking about doing similar ordinances like them. And the fact that we have to, so there will be existing structures to fund them because we have to. So the question boils down to the new board of whether they want to fund this mandate, essentially. Essentially, it is a partially funded mandate. When you boil it down to what, the structure of it is, because we'll have $60,000 once this is all done. And the board will have to look at this and say, we have the structure. So when you look at everything, we have the structure. We want this program. We've created this materials management plan and we want this. This is what our people said they wanted, the structure. Do we want to fund it? And how do we want to fund it? That's what it boils down to. So if the board,
Yeah, but,
I look at, sorry, you're the only board member.
yeah.
So that's what it boils down to is how do they want to do it? Do they want to put general fund money into it? Do they want to do ordinances? Do they want to do it? So and I see what you're saying too.
By the end point.
Yeah.
I don't want to speak,
Mhm.
but I want
Yeah.
to get to that point of desperately needing funding.
Mhm.
And then have the board decide, do we fund it or do ordinances or we do host
Yeah.
agreements? Shouldn't that work, ordinances, depending on host agreements be happening before we get to that point?
The point of the
And-
3-year funding that the state's doing is to give you that's what they've set up.
So those are the milestones I
Yeah.
think are really important, because as a commissioner, I would want to make sure
Yeah,
that you've got some really good due diligence and how strong of agreements can
Yeah.
you prepare. I just think those are important timeline
Yeah.
components. We all know the path of this.
yeah,
Because the way it is right now, it's
Yeah.
so vague for me, and I get we want to be
Yeah.
vague.
yeah,
But long-term sustainability is really important.
yeah,
I think we need to have those markers so people understand that this committee is very diligently working
yeah,
to get to that point 3 years down the road when that funding expires.
yeah,
Did we do what we were supposed to do to give the board
And are we
enough information?
yeah.
expecting that to be 180,000? Is that where we think it'll be?
Yeah, so this is, so essentially the 180 is my projected, I am not Nina, but with a bit of extra, I don't know, is it 3% every cost of living COLA?
Sure.
Yeah, that would be the staff part. Yeah. With my predicted COLA. But that's what it would be.
The grant funding stops after year 3, right?
Yeah, so, and this is without the 60. I did not add the plus 60. That's just the staffing part. Yeah, see, yeah, staffing, yeah. So. But yeah,
So
and yeah,
when the MMP is completed and a lot of the work that we're doing here is done, or at least the majority of the lift is done.
mhm,
Because a lot of the hires here on the are around the MMP, drives the MMP process,
mhm,
outreach, helps coordinate the MMP, would that many staff members still be employed, or when the MMP process is done, like a half a staff, just.
yeah. So this staffing, by this point, I dropped the intern by, I think, year 2. So I dropped the intern. The intern is simply data collection. Yeah,
I think that's a good data
Mhm.
point to put in this time.
yeah,
Kind of know that
Yep.
routine, because it's hard without a footnote or something in there.
yep. But at the same time, I don't have all the information, and that was the whole point of everything, is I don't have enough information. I could keep the intern. It'd be nice to have interns do little things. What if, for example, we want to do data collection on our recycling? Because you can literally have someone go through all your recycling and see how bad is your recycling? Do we want to do that? Do we want to know how clean our recycling is? That's what there's possibilities for everything. Do we want to be that? Like, how good do we want to be? How clean do we want to be the composting county, or we're like the composter? That's the questions. I don't know what Ottawa County wants. I'm one resident of many. So that's where it boils down to needing to know. No, that's why you got to remember too, we are at day one, essentially. So the questions you're asking questions that are at like probably midway through. You're in the dirt.
Probably, but.
Yeah.
Maybe,
Yeah.
but why not just say, okay, let's have the intern and let's have that complete at 4+ years and include the intern. We can kind of work backwards from that number and say, wait, what kind of revenue generation can we get from ordinances and host agreements that get us there? And then we can pivot. As opposed to taking it out now, because you don't know what will happen.
Ask that again. No, it doesn't quite say it. Ask it again.
Because you took the intern out already.
Because I'm trying to do question. I'm trying to figure out, I am trying to do possibilities, essentially. I could put the intern throughout. There's all sorts of possibilities. I could play, I could sit there. I could even not have an intern even. I could say that the most expensive person. So the thing is, so there's all sorts of,
And could you not just keep the intern in and have them
Yeah,
identify
I could.
who's there? And then it
Yeah.
just gives us a target number to try and see what the business model looks like, right?
yeah,
To get to
I
that.
want to make sure a great business model is going to fund a winning picture
Yeah.
with an intern, with all the support.
Totally.
Yeah.
Put
well,
that in.
that's what I want to do. So like maybe when we have a consultant or when I have more. So I'm a person that likes to have multiple things on the table. I am a data-driven person. Like I said, I'm a scientist. I love to have data. I don't have data yet. That's my biggest problem.
I understand.
And I can't get data yet until I get my work program and I get some money. I can't get money until I have a work program submitted and the state will give me money. So, yeah, so I'm trying to get I'm trying to get the 4 Ts checked so that I can give this to the state. And the state says, yes, we can go to the state. And then I can say in January and February, I can go to the Board of Commissioners and I can start talking to them about my funding situations. So essentially also, Paul Sachs, I have no money. So I have no staffing. I'm a staff of 1. Yeah,
Totally understand.
Yeah.
I'm just trying
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
structure
Yeah.
this in a way where
Yeah.
it's going to be public and presented,
yeah,
that they know these milestones. So
Yeah.
going off of the point, I can't recall
Yeah.
the name.
yeah.
Add a
Christina.
little more detail on there. When you think staffing would come on with the grant funding? When should we have some target times to understand some revenue generation
Yeah.
before we get to the end of year 3? And then you can take a look at your staffing
Mhm.
structure, but
Yeah,
rather than just wondering why.
yeah,
You took internship out, and I didn't wrap my head around that number already. So those are just little things as a committee member. I would just like to know what the work plan is with a little more detail. Maybe I just think it'd be beneficial, but maybe that's just me.
Does the state have a target date for when they want to start cutting checks?
not that I'm aware of. Let's Christina, go ahead, Christina, your hand's up. You might know, because last time I knew it was
What can we do?
soon, but there was a date.
Yeah,
You'd like that.
I'd have to kill you if I tell you anything about the RFP, but let me tell you something else first, and then I can maybe give you a sneak peek on the RFP. So a couple of things I want to mention. As I'm looking at the RF or your work program, I think that the numbers are. I've got that you had 269,000. Just so you know, for the numbers for your population, I got 269,200 is what the 2020 census shows. That's the number we're using, and I'm not sure. And then it's 50 cents per capita plus the $60,000. So that I have a total of 208,100 is what I have. So it's a little bit different from the 211 for that. I obviously you have other
Number,
Yeah, let me,
funding.
yeah,
could you repeat the total number? that you
It's
calculated?
26, for the first 3 years, I show $208,100. That's at 290 in your population for 2020 census was 296,200. 296,200. So that's a little bit different there. Obviously you have other funding. And then I appreciate the conversation that you're having with us. The one thing I would, again, so maybe, and I'm just thinking out loud. I know you wanted to get this approved today. But the next years of stuff, the budget, which, maybe you want to not even talk about that in the one you present to the state. Maybe you just want to focus on this 1 year, and you put in your staffing and your consulting, all the stuff that you're going to do for this year. And then as a group, because you don't have to give us all the rest of the years. It's just only beneficial for you to like plan and think through that. So maybe, that gives you time that you don't even have to worry about these nuances, whether an intern's there or not, because, as you're going down the road for the next grant cycle, you're going to have to do another work program and do a budget and do all that. Right. And so at that time you may decide, hey, we need another consultant to do this, or I need to do that thing, or you have more funding. You see what I'm saying? So some of these things are kind of irrelevant at this point because we really will only need the 1 year budget. Except for the fact that I understand you want to plan out. And I too am a numbers person and a planner. So I understand, Kim. And as for the RFP, I can tell you it was approved through our executive division. So that's a positive note. We had no idea it was going to get approved that fast and then before the holidays. With that said, I don't know when it will be released, but the fact that it's been approved by through our entire management chain gives us the opportunity to get it out there faster. So I'm anticipating at least by the first part of the calendar year that the money will be available. But remember, I told you this work program will be the application. You know what I mean? So so you'll submit this, we'll work through those things. But yeah, maybe you don't want to worry about all the rest of the years of budget. You just focus on the 1 year that you need. So you can get it approved and then you can work through those other things later. And you could have a secret work program that you guys can talk about, that you don't share with us. You know what I'm saying? So just thoughts on that one. And don't tell anybody about the RFP. I'm just joking. No.
sharing everyone.
But I hope
Yeah,
you up.
yeah. Because Christina, can you remind me, ours is due technically the 27th?
Yeah, let me tell you, I got it open here. It says the 29th,
Okay.
which I don't know what day that is. That's on a Sunday or something, right? maybe it's Monday.
Yeah.
I think it's Sunday. So yeah, but whatever. I mean, so I won't even. Yes, that's probably why you said the 27th because that's a Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, is it crazy to think that we could, as a group, fairly quickly come up with those milestones for the first year? Like right now, just get it done so that you can feel better and know that this is what we're submitting to Eagle, and more work will have to be done at our next meeting, and we'll have to start digging in. But at a high level, I think, for example, January 1, you're not hiring an intern. There's a process to anybody you're going to add. So even if you fast track that at starting today, which obviously right before the holidays, you're not going to really start anything. There's a process that you guys have to follow with how you hire people. It's going to take a couple of months, like minimum. So you're probably talking Q2 at the earliest that you're going to have any ad.
we gotta get the grant funding first.
Yeah, and that will take at least 2 months.
Right, and that can be a way to kind of structure this too, is like what do we anticipate in Q1, Q2, Q3?
Yeah,
just
that's
kind
what
of
I'm thinking.
a
Just
list
a
of
couple of
basic-
milestones for
Yeah,
each quarter.
basic milestones per quarter that fit with.
We have to, because you just said it, we have to get the grant money to hire anybody, you know, so there's a process to that.
And knowing that it's just you right now, I think that'll just help. Okay, this is what you're able to accomplish in
Mhm.
25 and to be really
Yeah,
pragmatic about it.
yeah, so
So
the
what-
question is, do you wanna look at it as so fiscal year, or do you wanna, so we look at it as fiscal year, or do you wanna look at it as grant year? So Christina, would you know if they're doing the grant based on the fiscal year or a 1-year time span, 12 month? Or do you not know
So
that
we-
yet?
So we are suggesting if counties want to do this to, and I don't know if it'll get approved. So I'm just telling you, this is my suggestion, my opinion, and it's not what reality is at this point. So we are suggesting that we could backdate the grant contracts if
Mhm.
need be, and to the date of which you submitted your notice of intent or it was approved. I'm not sure which date we could use yet for your notice of intent, which allows you to then use money for that. So if that was a priority of yours, then that's why I said at the beginning, you'd want to have some of those line items there. And then we could potentially backdate it to a date to encompass some of those monies. And then that would be fiscal year 24. Our fiscal year 25 started in October.
Yep, ours is the
It's
same.
not, yours is the same. So yeah, so I mean, even if you didn't backdate it to the date of whatever, there's a chance that you might be able to use it for work program development, planning committees. Like you could use the funds if you needed to for that. I have no idea what's needed at the county level, if it's better used for this going forward. If that's the case, then it would be fiscal year 25. Let's say it would be January or February. I can't imagine we'd get it signed by January, but February, let's say, of which would be Q2, right, of your fiscal year, in the middle of that.
In my mind, it'd be pretty easy, because we've already had several meetings, just.
Yeah.
So we could.
Yeah, so the biggest
post
thing.
that as time. your time.
Yeah, so, the biggest thing I would also wonder is when does it end? So it would end the end of September 30th? Does the grant end September 30th? So.
I
so
believe,
would you,
well, let's pretend if you're in fiscal year 25, you mean, so I think it's, I don't know 100% about that. I mean, I know we have to be allocated for the dollars, and then we have to essentially do the same process again, like have you sign a new contract and for the next fiscal year, once the money's allocated, just like all, same for all of your guys' budgets, right? So, I don't know if I know the money will stay. So let's say you only used 150,000 of of the money you get in this fiscal year. That money would be carried over, could continue over. We would just extend those things to carry. So it wouldn't necessarily, I mean, that contract might end, but you would have the money in the next contract. Does that make sense? Or maybe we would extend the 25 fiscal year 25 contract until all those funds were distributed to you, and then start the next one in the next fiscal year. So I don't think it matters by fiscal year, but I don't know that for sure 100%, unfortunately. It's really going to depend on what probably it's going to be more individualized based on what counties need. And maybe Jeff has an insight on that. Jeff Kirchmerich is on the call. He was having technical difficulties earlier, so I'm not sure if he can, whatever, but we're still kind of working through some of this grant stuff, right? This is a different kind of grant. Every county is going to get it, right? So there's no, it's not competitive. It's just a matter of making sure you're getting your money or getting the money, using it the way the law allows you to do it, and you're getting your tasks done to complete the plan and implement the plan. So it's a little bit different than like an infrastructure grant or, you know, a lot different from that, you know, but
Yeah, I just
I
ask
may
these kind of questions because then
Yeah.
it kind of figures out your time frame for staffing or like stuff like that. So if we hire someone, but then, you know, hire them and then we say, okay, we hire you, or we use it from, let's say, off that my cost. So then we can use other costs for other things, whatever, but then the grant expires right away, or, you know, like the terms of the
Oh,
grant done or stuff like that. So again, I don't have the information. I can't go to the board and say, okay, then here's the grant, and then, oh, it's done. Or you mean, then we can come back
Yeah.
and ask for an extension. You know,
Yeah,
that's
so
why.
if
So
you
it's-
wanna, yeah, if you wanna make it a 25 fiscal year 25 grant, then to keep it simple for yourself, and you think of it as your fiscal year, or 3 months, if you could use all the money up and show documentation that you've spent the money over those 3 months, the rest of the fiscal year 25, and not go into 26, then maybe that's, you know, try to do that then. But I don't know if that's as important. I think knowing the total amount per line item, per, you know, the where you plan to use it, and some tasks, I think is all that matters. And then when it gets used up, whether it gets used up in June or it gets used up in October or, you know,
Yeah.
January of the next year. You see what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if that matters because it's your money.
Yeah.
You're going to get the money. Does that make sense? So you plan the way you think it needs, that you need to plan for it.
So I can tell you, like, committee, that my thoughts were the first things that we need to do is data collection. So which some of it I have. I have a consultant that, you know, as you guys requested, I presented you as with the top three that I, you know, we, been working with purchasing, the system that we have in the county to go through that. I have the top three. I think Lisa and Vanderbrink would be the best. I was gonna talk to you guys about that. If we go with them, I use those rates for the consulting line here. I talked to them, my next step with that, you know, based on what you guys think, I wanted to make sure, I was gonna talk about that after this. But based on how we're talking, I was gonna see it. I talked to purchasing about seeing if we can do more. I think that the newer concept is if I could talk and kind of negotiate some more pricing because, and Christina can kind of maybe talk about this, but whatever we have left over essentially from the grant stuff, we can utilize for infrastructure. Am I correct in that? Like, we can use some of this for existing, not new infrastructure, like, so I have my infrastructure grant, but like, some of this can be for, the funding for this can be for infrastructure of,
Yeah, I mean, it will depend on you can't use our grant dollars for like matching money for an infrastructure grant you might get
Yeah, nope,
from our,
nope.
right, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so my thought
So
was
yeah,
for
so
my
like,
existing infrastructure.
yeah, so like I believe it will be allowed to be used for some of that stuff. You just have to keep it real separate, right? Like what you're
Nope.
using it for.
Yeah, okay.
And you don't have to wait till the end either.
No,
So
exactly. That's what my hopes are, because I have a lot that need to
Yeah.
say. So, okay,
Yeah. Okay.
so, but yeah, so, so that we could do that for like our existing infrastructure. So our hopes were that we can negotiate some pricing with the consultant there. One of the reasons why we liked, Fleece and Vanderbrick is they're very local, they're in Holland. One of them was an actual private sector person. Another one was from Kent County. So they have a really good local understanding. That's why we were hoping to go with that consultant. That would be the biggest person, and they would also be able to help us guide. Quicker, I have a consultant too. They can kind of help us guide some of those tasks that we were talking about.
So that's a good
That's my next.
milestone.
So I have everything in line to get some of the things that we need to do. My thoughts were for tasks for 25, like we're talking about, would be to collect the data real quick, not get to collect data, but it's data collection.
Consult.
Not as like, yeah, through them, they would be helping, 'cause that's my biggest thing, is I have some data, I need to be able to compile it. Make it viable, as well as it would be some, it would be some of those work groups. I think the best way for us to collect the data is to get the, would be able to get additional materials is really through businesses. So talking to, cause you think about most of your time is spent at work. So, and figuring out residential, so talking to the municipalities, since they'll have a lot of work, those kind of things, they're doing like, that kind of stuff. So we'll have to talk to those, municipal outreach, since we'll also have to get their buy-in, and then they're also talking to the residents, so that kind of stuff will have to be the next steps for the next year or two. So I have a plan, I just have to,
Yeah.
Yeah,
all that
I just
we need
haven't-
to add to
it's
that.
it's a time thing, and, yeah.
Create this-
So if you wanna know the next 1 year,
Add
yeah,
that, that do these, since we're talking about consultants, are they ready, are they aware of this time frame where it's not, we can't engage with them? So we navigate the grant and get that through our processes and secure the funds.
yeah, I have been lining things up, because I knew the grant is coming soon. So I wanted to have everything rocking and rolling, so at the moment I have a grant and I have money, I can be like, boom,
As
right.
long as they're aware.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's a cap on how long their quote is good for.
Yeah, we have not, so we've deliberately drawn out the RFP process. So they have not, there's no quote, there's no contract, there's no nothing, plus, our side of things is, once we have a contract, still has to go to the board, and so that process even takes a bit. So we haven't even gone to writing a contract yet. So, yeah, so we're not even doing a
have the
contract
ability
yet.
To set a reasonable time, like say, it's August of 2025, we will secure a consultant. And whatever date
Yeah.
that you think, that would just be a great target to identify, are you able to pin that down, so we know what we're shooting for? Cause then we know. what
I'm
we're
just trying to
expecting.
think logisticals. I'm sorry, I'm not a person you can put on the spot either, because I'm very much, like I said, I'm a logistical person. I'm trying to think, 'cause it takes about 2 months to get a contract through the board, because you have to put it in the system strategically. If you put it in a week too early or a week too late, it pushes it to the next month. So if I put it, let's say, a contract in now, it would probably make it into February's board meeting. So,
Will you consider a contract with no funding?
according to Karen, that would be a no.
That's like.
Yeah.
Think
Yeah,
through that and get.
Yeah.
a reasonable time frame.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't remember us considering a contract.
I was like, cause I wouldn't even get to, Karen would say no.
Exactly, so.
Yeah, that's why I haven't gone
And
there
I'm not
yet.
wanting to put you on the spot, but something
Yeah.
to ruminate on, we have
Yeah.
a week to get this
Yeah.
plan together.
That's why, like, when the state, that's part of my problems in my discussions with state's like, oh, we can back fund you. But that's when I talked to Nina, and Nina says, well, I won't consider this because I don't have a contract. And then they're like, well, you can budget this, and I'm like, I can't, Nina won't budget it because I don't have a contract, so,
Totally,
yeah,
totally
so,
understood.
yeah,
I believe every time I've seen it happen, the grant has already been approved.
yes,
They say, board, will you accept this contract because this grant has been approved?
Yes. yes. So that's,
One
yeah,
moving forward.
yeah, so
So
that's
I
it.
would do your best guess after this meeting and just try and figure that out. right?
Mhm.
And add that time frame, then we know that you're shooting towards that, because it'll just be you. And we know you're spread thin already to do this stuff, but at least we have a good target milestone or something to accomplish for
Mhm.
25 without having that funding yet for several months.
So So then here's my question for you guys, because at this, so from what I'm hearing, my crucial conversation training that I've gotten from the county, doesn't sound like this work program you guys want to approve. So with that, we wouldn't meet the 28th deadline. But if we want to try to submit something still, we would have to have another meeting. And I'm not sure about you guys, but it's the holidays. So we would either need to schedule something after Christmas or submit this and then submit this, but then still be working on a revision.
So what part why wouldn't we want to approve this? I'm missing something here.
From what I'm gathering, you guys want to, from what I'm hearing, is that we would want to focus on just 25 years. And I guess actually what I'm hearing is mostly from Paul, I guess not from everyone, is
It's
that,
just me.
yeah.
It's what we're gonna.
I was like, wait a minute, I guess I'm listening just to Paul mostly, but yeah, do you want more details?
$11,000 in year one, but.
So I chose year one because I don't have a grant, so that's why I choose the term year one, because year one starts when we start. We haven't started anything yet. There is no start time because I don't have a grant. I don't have anything started yet. So that's why I use the term year one. But there is no start. But that's why I didn't use fiscal year. I didn't do 2025 or 24. I used year one because I don't know when we're starting because the state hasn't given us funding yet to start anything.
So if we approve, then we can get a little bit more clear ideas of when we can get started. So if we get
yeah.
this approved,
I get it, but
Move to the
I
state.
still, I'm kind of going back to the fact that like, I don't think we need a ton of milestones. I think we could have one or two for 4 quarters and call it good. And I think I think we're close enough based on the
Yeah.
conversation. And if we add that in, can we still approve this today and then still get the feedback, but have it be slightly more correct? So let's just say the process starts October 1st, because that's your fiscal year. And if we can backdate and get those funds, well, that'll help us for our future selves. We'll be thanking our future selves. We don't necessarily have to count on it. We don't necessarily have to say it's in the bag because we don't have them. But great, like get reimbursed for what you can get reimbursed. More money is better.
I
So-
guess. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no.
No, I didn't mean to interrupt.
I just don't think
That's
it's
rude.
I don't think it's that hard. So like, I'm not good with fiscal years, but that would be like my Q4 if it starts October 1. So I just have to think about it that way. So you're saying in Q1, the planning, a milestone was the materials management planning, group was approved and we started to have our meetings and we defined the work plan for submission.
Yeah,
And submitted it. And then in Q2, we're going to, develop this budget further so that it aligns with the Ottawa County. I mean, I just think we could have just those at a high level. They don't have to be super detailed. And then, the idea would be probably we'll have the grant money by Q3, I would guess.
That seems reasonable.
to be honest with you guys, I don't think we'll use any money this fiscal year.
We're already using money.
Well, yes, yeah, we're using
You're
using,
using
yeah,
money.
that is true. We are using, yeah,
You've spent
Yes.
100 hours at least.
that
on
is
it.
true. I didn't think.
That's money. So
Yeah,
like, I wouldn't
Mhm.
worry about.
yeah,
Like if we just
Yeah.
start the process,
Yeah.
everything will start to follow after we start
Yeah.
the process. So hopefully we can get grant funds
yeah,
and think of it like go, no go milestones, right?
Yeah.
So, the plan is by Q3, fiscal
Mhm.
quarter 3, that we'll have the grant funds from Eagle and we will engage then you will, submit the contract for the consultant, thank you,
Mhm.
to the board.
Mhm.
So that's what we'll do in Q3. Q4, we're gonna begin, the data collection and the hiring of these 3 staff. That's it, like,
Yes.
just be done.
That's very, very helpful.
Yeah,
And It
even in
aligns
here-
with what Christina was saying, the add addition.
Just a little bit.
Yep, just-
yeah, because even if you do like
Just a
even
little bit
here,
there.
data collection,
Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4.
hire. I mean,
I don't want you to stress about this over the holidays, Kim, is where I'm
No.
really getting at.
yeah, I'm getting it, yeah, so my thoughts are,
file for an extension anyways, or?
no, not really, but my point is, my thoughts are,
I don't
what's the
think
point of an
waiting,
extension? In the end, it does nothing. In my mind, in the end, it does nothing because it changes nothing.
Yeah.
There's no
It's
penalty.
just the ball.
Yeah, it doesn't even get the ball moving for money because from my understanding, what's like you gonna do one way or another? That's what I've gathered from everything. And it doesn't change any timelines for anything else.
no.
It doesn't change any
We can
timelines.
move milestones if we can't hit them.
Yeah.
What I just laid out, I think is reasonable.
Yeah, hire a
I
consultant.
think as long as this is a living, breathing document that we're changing
Yeah.
and updating, there might not be everything in here that we want, or there may be some things in here that we want to adjust. But I think as long as we're all understanding that this is not.
There's a lot of moving parts in Ottawa. There's a lot of moving parts
Yeah.
in the state. There's a
So-
lot of stuff moving.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to adjust to it.
Yeah, and I'm good moving forward, understanding that this is something that we're gonna continue to work on, and that we're all gonna understand that it's a document that we can update, so.
Right.
Well,
I think-
presumably Eagle's gonna provide comments, it's gonna have to be changed anyway. Whatever we approve today, they're gonna require changes. Or more detail or whatever, and then we can
Yeah.
work through those, when we receive those comments.
Today's not a day. Okay. And. Oh, stakeholder engagement and program development. But yeah, so they're gonna ask for changes either way. So yeah, because if you do approve this, I can still, if you approve it with the amendment with adding the additional information of the fact that I will add your guys' positions onto this. Because she said that they would want to know who you guys are. You know, they already have that.
I can email you a table I have, Kim, if that would be helpful for that.
Yeah, that'd be nice, and then I can just pretty much add that in. Yeah, that'd be helpful.
Okay.
Can you send me the numbers again? Cause the numbers I used was numbers that I thought you had already sent me, but maybe I typoed or something.
Yeah, I can send you that again. I'll put it in the same email message.
Perfect. Get that. Yeah. So. You guys want to approve this and I can submit it, or? That's. For you, I would suggest just letting us submit this, and then in the meantime, I can work on what we discussed, the more detailed stuff. And then we can discuss that more in January.
Just wondering if I could get just a little
Yeah,
detail on just, I guess, one of the
Yeah.
parts in here that you also kind of talked about.
yeah,
Is ordinances to raise funding, just kind of
Yeah.
wondering what thoughts you had with that, or what
Yeah.
maybe goals you were looking at.
yeah, I can tell you that, because I can see why you'd be very interested, because I admit it's very pointed at your behalf. So, one of the ordinances is for haulers. I think that's something, the county needs to do because we don't know what's coming in or out. Mainly it's for data collection. As well as kind of making sure the conditions of the trucks and stuff, because some of the things that has brought, it's, there are some related ordinances that I think some townships might have too for like litter control, like things aren't just flying off the back of the trucks. Some of that might be attached to small fine fees and stuff like that, or fines. I don't think it has to be big, but I think it's something to have, so a certain level of uniformity. But the townships might have something like that, and it might be something within the townships.
Well, there,
Um,
there are townships and municipalities
Yeah.
that require license agreements and
Yeah.
insurance requirements and that.
Yeah.
Some of them, I have to, provide pictures of our trucks so that
Yeah.
they see what they're like, but also
Yeah.
that I have the amount of trucks to service the township, so.
yeah,
But I do agree that, ordinances that who's within the town or within the
Yeah.
county picking up with minimum insurance requirements, that I'm sure is important.
yeah,
And that probably would bring you some minimal funding because there would be a license application. But I didn't know if
Yeah.
there was other funding, beyond
Yeah.
that you would be looking for
Yeah.
through ordinances.
the other one that I'm hoping to look at is more. Towards, Autumn Hills and, Griswold's Farms, which is similar. It would be, to help fund the programs. It would be similar to Kent County's, which is where Ottawa County's trash essentially would be fined, and I don't know how that would look. And that's where I'd want to really discuss the best way to do it, because I don't want, we've got to figure out, and this might not be the best, I don't know. We got to figure out a way to fund a program that is encouraging doing, a recycling or reuse and repurpose and managing our materials, and at the same time, not thinking that what's easiest, which is throwing it away, is the right way. And we don't want to create a burden on businesses either. We want to encourage businesses, So that's wording things and encouraging it. It's always this. So figuring out that game. So, and we also don't want to double, because, that was one of the discussions we've had before, that, you're getting, like, Pat knows is getting sometimes feed in Kent County and then in Ottawa County. So that one of the things was, well, if we talked about not doing technically the host agreement, you're not seeing it, but the host agreements, you're not seeing it, but you're getting it in Ottawa County, but then you're also getting the Kent counties. You just don't know, you don't see it, because it's not visually seen on it. So like that kind of stuff. So that's why some of the discussions that we've had is making sure that we have a partnership with Kent County and Allegan County. So whatever we're all doing is making sure that it's also good for all the counties. So we're not, and all the businesses, so that we're all working together. So that we're not doing things that are backwards. So I don't know. I couldn't tell you exactly. I can tell you what I'm thinking. And it might be completely different because I don't know everything.
No,
Yeah,
that's helpful
so,
to
yeah.
understand at least some of the general.
Yeah.
That you're looking at, and
Yeah.
some of that, I guess double dipping, with Kent County, what that is kind of referring to is if Kent County trash comes to Ottawa County,
Mhm.
then there's a fee that has to be paid to the landfill and
Yeah.
reported back to Kent County.
Yeah,
Recently, Kent County did pass countywide flow
Yeah.
control where everything in Kent County has to stay in Kent County. So
Yeah.
Some of that may change where that's not an issue, but yeah.
yeah. And now the funding for Ottawa County, for example, Ottawa Farms landfill. I think like there was more Kent County trash in Ottawa Farms than Ottawa trash in that farm. So now the funding for our program is now greatly reduced because of that.
If trash doesn't flow towards Kent counties or towards Ottawa counties.
Yes,
Yes, and there is opportunity because Kent County can't handle it all, so there are gonna be shipping some of it out. They want it first, collect it, and
Yeah.
then ship it.
yeah, yeah. So that's what I'm saying, there's all these unknowns. So, but at the end of the day, we want to encourage businesses and the residents to do what's right, and we just want to get materials managed properly. So how can we do all that?
So is this like ordinances and funding options part of the consultants' work that they would help with that?
So that was
process?
one of the questions we asked, they could help with. And some of it is part of, I think the whole process of everything. So, talk to residents, talk to the municipalities too, because one of the things I did have one of our interns that I kind of piggybacked on one of our other programs is to talk to some of the municipalities and see what they had going on. Because again, excuse me, if we're looking into doing an ordinance as a county, we don't want to overstep a municipality's ordinances, because I do think, and I'm not a politician or anything, but I think that, yeah, if something locally or at the smaller level can be done first, then that's where it should be. But at the same time, if they think, I don't know, if it should be done differently, I don't know. So make sure we're all on the same page and all that kind of stuff.
And I think that would be
So-
helpful for a consultant to kind of lead that
Yeah.
process, because they're
Yeah.
not like 100% neutral, but they're a third party.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that was nice about the police, they also go at FMV.
Yeah.
Is that she worked for, one of them worked for Kent County during their creation of one of their ordinances. And then one of their other ones that would be part of their team was with Republic. And so they have both that kind of working with an ordinance and creating an ordinance. So, and both sides of it, like, hey, we don't like the ordinance, as well as, well, this is the benefit from coming from it. And so it was kind of nice to have someone with that kind of perspective also helping you with it. That's one of the reasons why I liked working with, like, the idea of them. And they both are out of Holland. So they also understand, and then they also understood the fact that we have a population that is, I think, yeah, migratory, like, we have our water-based population that comes and goes. That was part of one thing that I like the idea that, because we don't have a population that's just land-based, it's always here. And that's one thing, and then we have a water population, and we have our water tables and stuff like that. I wanted to make sure that that was understood too. So. But yes, back to the original question. So yes, those are all ideas. So what we all choose, and it might be something that it's not even on there. There might be something where we do a millage for all, that might be even where it lands, for funding this program. That, so the question boils down to how do we, as a committee, as residents, as a board, ultimately want to fund this program. That's what it boils down to. Eagle has suggestions, and host agreements tends to be the easiest if you have a landfill. Which I don't, I can see why that tends to be the easiest, but is it the best? I don't know. It's not for me to decide, it's for all of us to decide, so. I can tell you what Matt might think.
Well, we started through that process, but.
Yeah.
All the changes kind of just got tabled, so.
Yeah. So. Yeah,
So where do we go from here?
yep, so is there any other questions about what I presented about the work program? With knowing that I will still, no matter what, work on more of a fine-tuned one-year program.
I think just one small comment is.
Yeah.
Something you brought up about household hazardous waste wasn't in here.
Mhm.
And I do think that is definitely
Yeah,
something that both Ottawa and Kent County provide a very robust household hazardous waste that is very important, I believe.
yes,
To the residents, because there's not a lot of outlets for household hazardous waste outside of county programs. So just a comment, I'd like to see that added or in a, materials management plan as well.
I appreciate that, because that's something that I also strongly feel that should always stay in there. And I was very sad that the newer version was lacking in it.
Does that include medical waste?
Can I mention some about that real quick? And then
Yeah.
I have to jump off here to go to another meeting. But so just because the plan format does not include some things does not mean you can't include those things. So your committee is going to set the priorities and the vision of the county. You're going to set goals and if those are goals include some of those items, then you put them there, you know what I mean? And so like, don't think just because it's not there doesn't mean it's not needed. And we are hoping to actually, we really want counties to do a full, have a full understanding of their baseline, full understanding of where they want to go, and don't worry about the format. You know what I'm saying? Like, so let's work beyond that. And hopefully we'll have additional guidance coming out as we go through, and work group meetings that we'll be able to communicate and, help shape some of those conversations right now. But just know that the format doesn't have to be followed 100%. Hopefully not. Hopefully you do more than what's in there. So, and I do have to jump. So I appreciate letting me come. And I know Jeff Kirchmerker is going to stay on. If you have further questions, let me know. I did email you that stuff that you asked for. And thank you, everybody. And if you need me to come to, actually present at the meeting for something going down the road, just let Jeff and I know, Jeff Kirchmerk and I know. And you guys have a great holiday. And thank you for getting this approved for her so she's not stressing over the holidays.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, I get it. So, but okay, thank you guys. Thanks for your patience.
No, thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
Work program, do we wanna?
Yeah, I think it would be helpful real quick to just kind of outline the changes that you're planning to make, so everybody understands what those changes are. And then I think we could entertain a motion to approve with that list of changes. And then, I will just also offer, Kim, I'm certainly willing to like help you with this. Like, I've got some time over the next week or so. I'm not really taking much time off for the holidays, so we can do a little mini workshop session and I can help you kind of craft an update if that would be helpful. Yeah, so if you want to just kind of, I don't know, I was not taking great notes, but you were taking notes. If you want to just kind of outline the changes that you're intending to make so that everybody understands that before we entertain a motion.
That's gonna make it. I do want to see her template just real quick too.
Yeah, I mean, one thing, yeah, so that was adding the list of the committee members. I know she had mentioned like the meeting dates. I don't know that we have dates, but you can say
Yeah.
monthly meetings. like,
Yeah.
We added. But said that in here anywhere.
And Kim?
Yeah.
I'm sorry I was late. I had a doctor's appointment. But I can also review whatever you put together.
Oh, that'd be great. Thank you. Appreciate that. All right.
So yeah, the committee list, the other big thing is she sent you different grant numbers, right?
Yeah, yep. And she did have that on here.
Okay, because that is significantly different than,
I think,
because that 268 is what I remember initially too, so that's kind of,
yeah.
that's a big hit.
Yeah. So I think she must have, I swear she sent it to me, but and that's what I put down. But yeah, so she had it. So approve with committee info added and updated grant info. And population. I'm not sure if I had that on there, but if I did. And the typos. Add monthly meetings. I'll even add that in January of 25, we will be re-upping our schedule. If you guys approve it. think those were the large items that needed to be added. And then I'll add the consultant item in our 25.
So to the consultant on the agenda, the consultant, like links to them didn't go through.
Probably because of the size, I'm guessing. So I'll fix that.
Kim, were you the only one that, reviewed the consultants, or was there like a group of people?
There's a group, so there's a process that kind of goes through.
Everybody was kind of. in
Yeah,
line.
an RFP process. So it's me, our purchaser for public health, which is John, and then John Myron, and then Spencer, my supervisor.
Great.
So, and you have to rate them and then interview them. And then the next step was for me to bring them to you. And then they said we could choose to vote on them. That I wanted to make sure, and then I was even verifying that we can bring it to you, because I don't want to run any purchasing policies. And then I could even talk to you about it, and yeah, so I wanted your guys' feedback too, because they will be working closely with you guys as well, so. Everyone was really good. Fishback was probably my second, and then third was RRS. My only concern with RRS was that I've heard some negative feedback from the state with some of their concerns, and I had some concerns when they did the mega data project. They were supposed to have reached out to every municipality in Ottawa County, and I didn't really hear that. I think they like called-ish. And if they didn't
I
get,
think,
yeah,
I personally, I'm very satisfied with your process.
okay,
So
yeah,
the fact that they're local, unless they were bad, I would probably go with them just for that reason. They're local, they're in our community.
yeah,
There.
yeah,
You already had a ranking.
yeah. Like, and they want, like, I think we are one of their, like, desired ones that they really want.
Well,
They
anybody
want
else
to
that
work
rejects
for
it.
us, so. I could,
Not for me.
yeah,
So
Are we privy to questions at all? I mean.
Yeah.
we're Voting to approve, but then to make sure that there's nothing there that I would somehow get, associated with, or, you know.
yeah, you can ask any questions. That's why I was trying, like, I can even. If you guys want to, I can send you, specific, I will try to send you each one. I might have to do email one at a time.
Yeah.
Because their packets are very large.
I mean, I trust your
Yeah.
judgment on this.
Yeah,
I mean,
Could you
it's
do like
kinda
a
hard to go over
Dropbox?
something.
Google.
right, yeah, what?
Just a discussion item today.
Yeah, it was just.
This committee voting.
We can do either. We don't have a process on it,
Yeah, I know.
so, yeah. I can even tell you who's,
Yeah, can I bring us back to the work program though?
there you go, yeah. Yeah,
Respect you.
yeah.
Bring us back
Respect,
to the
that's
work
way to
program.
do your job.
So one other maybe lingering thing,
Mhm.
based on the fact that the Eagle grant dollars are different, do you need to rework that budget to stay under that? So like you have your
Yeah.
year one budget 211, which is more than what the Eagle grant is.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
Is that-
so,
are you gonna be able to make that difference up, or do we wanna keep a budget underneath that Eagle?
my intention was not to stay under or over my budget. My intention was just to have what the number
Like a real
were.
budget?
And then cause I did not budget based solely on the grant. It is what it is. And then I also have my own budget. And then, whatever additional funding would either come from my existing funding, or we'd have to talk to Karen. Fiscal and stuff, so. And then I had my own fund balance and stuff, so.
Any other like clarifications on the changes Kim plans to make?
Yes, so I'll restate them again to
Okay,
make sure.
yeah.
So it would be what is existing with grammatical changes. I will add the committee information. I will update the grant information with the population information if I have it in there. I will correct any typos that I see. I will add the information about our monthly meetings, and then I'll even add on there that in January that we will be updating our 25 schedule. And then that we'll also be hoping in 2025 to be finalizing our consultant. Fiscal year 25. I'll have that in there.
Any further questions?
Great.
We would, yeah, look for a motion to approve the work program with those changes.
I'll make that motion.
Support.
Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Well, thanks everybody for working through the conversation and the discussion. Appreciate that. And like I said, Kim, if you want any help
Perfect.
one-on-one, or at least just to send it to me, and I'm happy to review it before you submit it.
Perfect.
Like we can talk more.
Thank you.
Okay, so then moving on to discussion items, and we'll make sure we get out of here by 11. So I think we already have talked a little bit through some of the consultant issues, or not issues, but the consultant item, and yeah, so we're not necessarily looking for approval on that today, but I think everybody would appreciate being able to look through those. Is that a general thought? And so Kim will look at a different way to share those, since
Yeah.
those links didn't work.
And kind of just in general, too, if you guys just want to kind of just get a general feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say, I mean, we're working with Lyson Vandenbrink on a project right now.
Yeah.
It's our first experience with them, and so far it's been very positive.
Yeah, they are definitely the smaller of the three. I do know that Fishback has done work with both Ottawa and Kent County. Yes, thank you. Everything tabs. And it's all white. Let's move on. Either way, I'll do please. There we go. We'll do them first anyways. And then RS has done tons of the state. They are next cycle of the primary person and next cycle. But I was gonna show number. You know, because why would anything want to show up on a page?
I think you're asking your computer to do an awful lot.
Yeah. Well, guys, I was gonna show you.
Doesn't do that.
Doesn't turn things white, because you know, you want to show people. If my links don't work. Well, guys, anyways. But yes, so Molly with Police and Vanderbrink is also part of Dan with City of Collins. There we go. His task force as well. So the links work on my computer. But one thing I liked also, so they've worked with Shiawassee, which I've met Larry at the Michigan Recycling Coalition. They did, I guess apparently the Gun Lake tribe had to do a very similar thing within like 3 weeks. They were talking about that. It sounded interesting.
I know Sean, if you
Okay.
need a reference.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know much about that. So there's Molly, and then Matt, had worked for Republic. And he was also part of the MRC, board, which I'm now part of. His face looked familiar. And then I saw the blue bins, and I'm like, oh, Republic.
I know that
If it was
pretty well.
green, yeah, so it was green, I would have known. It was- Sorry, W1. But they did, I like their, so some of the stuff like what you were kind of asking, they kind of did some of these. I asked them to do 3 strategies, the least and then middle. I'm kind of leaning towards a little of something between the ad lib and the second strategy, which is why I want to kind of see if we can talk to them about doing a little in between. But they did, kind of like what we were talking about here, like this year 1, like assist with data collection, data review, planning, stakeholder meetings, gap analysis, which is the biggest thing is the gap analysis, knowing what we don't know. That's what I'm really interested in. So this is what really I thought was nice that they did that breakdown.
So the only comment I would have on that is, I think all that looks very reasonable, but there's nowhere in there that talks about ordinance development, and that's a really heavy lift. So
Yes,
that's gonna be
yeah,
almost double the cost, I guarantee you.
yeah. So that's why I asked them. So we asked Fishback more about that. So Molly had worked with it because she was with Kent, but it is a heavy lift. Now, Fishback said that it was not included in their cost. But it would cost extra.
It's not stated in the
Yeah,
budget, so. I
in the
assume
budget,
it's
yeah.
included.
Yeah. I think because they wanted more, their cost, so overall their cost was more than Fishback. Since this works, it's on my computer.
Cost seems reasonable to me.
I
But
thought
think
so,
for
too.
ordinance, But I just am making sure you don't think the ordinance is covered in it.
No. My hope is too that legal would help with that too. Our corporate
Yep.
counsel.
Yep.
But with, with the work with the consultants. And I think, and I was hoping to talk to Kent County and some of our other counties that have, I think, Muskegon County's got one as well, a different one, but to kind of look at other counties. I'm also working with the MRC to create a DPA work group. So again, that kind of selfish, but at the same time that I can learn from other DPAs and their struggles and some of the others. And so we can also like, oh, you guys have ordinances. What are your struggles, or how are other people doing it? Because again, I don't want to just make one and say, oh, this works good for us. I want to see what everyone's doing so that we can all try to make work, learn for everyone, so that we can all make the best. And I don't know, I just like
They
the
have
idea.
regional consistency too, I think.
Yeah,
We've been trying to do that with other types of ordinances that seems to, or, either ordinances or strategies or other mechanisms, and it makes a lot of sense to try to be consistent across counties
Yeah.
and the region.
and then so some people are like, oh, well, you should just do the work groups regionally. And part of my struggle is Ottawa County might not match regionally with someone else. We might, up the UP might have someone that's more like us. This is Fishbacks. They had some of them had very pretty, but she would be the lead. She was very passionate. One of my concerns with Fishback is they didn't go on her website. Like they didn't know that they were talking about assisting us putting together our materials management planning committee. So we already have one. Which if you would have gone to our website, you could have seen that. And that kind of made me, I think the easiest thing to do about learning about someone is to go onto their website. It just takes a few moments to do that. But she's definitely had passions. But they had gone, so they had done some of these, which I thought was kind of nice. And this kind of goes to like what you're talking about, Paul, like you know, creating some of these calendars. So the consultants will help us. That's where I guess is the help that I know some of this is out there and available, but I didn't put it here. So, but then, yeah, the ad lib was cost. But, yeah, just gonna show you. But I can send these individually to you guys and few pictures. But yeah,
So with the ordinance component. What's your thoughts on that if you're leaning towards recently?
oh, me, I thought you were looking at Carrie. Um. I think if it was leaning it, Molly understands the governmental component of what would be needed. You know, she would understand the buy-in that you need from the board. You know, because the board's gonna, you know, need information and understanding too. And the community engagement, the municipalities engagement, the landfills, you know, the haulers. And, you know, she may not legally know how to write it all, but she might know some of the key components and what she might need to know, what corporate counsel would need. She may not be, whereas like say Fishback might have the corporate counsel legal person, they'd be like, all right, you know, yeah, you're gonna give us another 30 grand and here's your, you know, here's your ordinance. They might have that level. That's the Fishback level probably. Because they are larger, but they're out of, I think Fishback is out of Ann Arbor, I believe. So.
I think their home office in Grand Rapids.
They
They
definitely
they have a Grand Rapids office. Cause there was. Cause and then RRS, maybe RS is there. I know there's.
Ann Arbor is RS. They're
Okay.
definitely headquartered in.
Yeah,
They're changing to be an east.
yeah,
They
Yeah.
bought several firms throughout the
Okay.
state.
Yeah.
They're all over the state of Michigan.
Okay,
So
'cause I know
they're a big player in this game.
yeah, cause I know several of them are all over, but
Right.
then they have like headquarters or.
Right.
So,
They are,
yeah,
they just announced they're transitioning to an east hub.
okay,
It's a consider, I mean, it's just a
And
big change. right?
yeah, they, I mean, you showed us some of the references from, Fleece. What about Fishback?
Fishback had a lot of references. So like I said, that's why they were number 2. Let me go to my notes.
I personally worked with them.
Yeah.
They're excellent. But
Yeah,
it doesn't, to me, it doesn't trump the local factor. It's
Yes.
both are good, like.
yeah,
local is
That's-
important.
the amount of local is why I lean towards, where is it? So,
Care.
yeah, so, and they had, well, that too, and Fishback has already got 5 or 6 people that are working with. And then, F&V has, they like, we're only gonna work with X amount so that we can make sure that we have a certain level of commitment for each county. Whereas that they were the only one that said that we are capping how many. Which I thought that kind of provides a certain level of like, we're making sure. You know, and I like that idea, whereas, you know, and the counties, I think, that Fishback are, there's some decent, like Washtenaw was one of the ones which Washtenaw is a big county and they are, you know, a leader in certain things. I can't remember some of the other counties Fishback did, but yeah, Fishback is, yeah, like I said, they were number 2 for a reason. They were number 1 until, F&B was our last one we interviewed. I said the only reason why RRS2 is my 3rd one is because I've heard they've done so much. They are, I mean, essentially that just, they're so big that I think little things get through the holes and that's why you know. And then they're the only ones too that didn't name drop essentially either. So I didn't have any references of like, they had their references, but they weren't as plentiful as Fishback or F&B. So, so yeah, so Fishback, I mean, they're passionate, you tell they have a skill set. And they were probably, if I had to go to the ordinance level, Fishback probably would be the most expertise wise, because like I said, they could write one and just probably be like, all right. Whereas, F&V, they had experience, but it wasn't the actual, like, here's paper version. I know,
That really depends then on the attorney,
yeah,
county
Yeah.
attorney, because if the county attorney is planning on doing it and
Mhm.
just needs. I don't know that we have enough information right now to even ask for a reasonable quote on that work.
Mhm.
I don't think it's easy.
No.
It's very nuanced.
Yeah, and that,
We can't do
yeah.
it, but.
And we might not even go that direction even, like, that's where, like I said, I think that could be the direction. But I could be wrong, like, that's the thing is, I'm not afraid to say that I'm completely wrong, because I'm not the decision maker, I'm not the know-it-all, like, I'm not afraid to say I don't have all the pieces in front of me. That's where I think might be the best, but there might be better options out there. I just don't know. There's too many unknowns for me to say that, so. I think F&V would be the best for the county. I do think that that's the best consultant for us. I do think that. I think they have a great passion. I think their passion for wanting to work with us would really show. So,
So is the plan that we would vote on that at our next meeting?
Well, we don't have to vote, do we?
we don't have to. So what I'm hoping to do
I mean, if
was
someone
to get your
wants-
feedback, but what I'm planning on doing is to talk to them to get more about pricing. I want to see if I can get like a little mixture of my ad lib and set B,
Hybrid.
like a hybrid. Because I think we have between you guys being a robust and very involved committee, as well as, we need a little bit more than that. But I don't think it's kind of quite fair to them too, to be like, oh, you stop everything and help us. I wanna see what we can do in between, so. So,
Yeah.
This meeting is.
yeah.
We rolled out of here.
Kelly, you did a good job there.
I mean, it's not routine.
Yeah.
Make
Yeah.
them love some of
And then
that.
I can bring that to you guys to the next meeting, just so, and then you guys can be like, yeah, that sounds good, you know?
Yeah, and I guess we can, whatever the
Yeah.
pleasure of the committee, if
Yeah.
someone wants to make a motion and do a
Yeah.
formal support of it.
And then I can also see if they can come and you guys can talk and feel them out too. If that's something you guys are interested in, I can see if Molly and Matt would be interested in coming, since that's something else we talked about too. And I can talk to John and see if they'd be willing to come to our next meeting, which I couldn't offer that because I need to confirm that you guys would like to come to the January meeting, which
Does any of that delay the process?
we don't have any money right now, so,
So no.
Because I trust your.
Yeah.
Yeah.
no, yeah,
So that function of this committee to
yeah.
hire the consultants or be involved in it.
Yeah, it's one of those things, we don't have bylaws or anything. So I don't have anything, I mean, in one aspect, you know. Fact that you're on the committee, you know, would help to the board, you can say, yes, I met them, I think they'd be great for it, you know. I think knowing that Christina, which is really great that she said that, because last time I heard, it was very contentious about that grant, the RFP process of whether it'd be like later, so the fact that it's probably gonna be like January, February coming out means probably about March, April, we'd probably get it. And the fact that we're working on this further helps too. And then we could technically backdate it, would be kind of nice too. But, we could get the contracts and stuff going faster. But, I'm just thinking stuff through. But if we can have them come to the January meeting and get the contracts and stuff going further, I think it would help to make sure that we can all work together, that you guys like them and that stuff. So I think that would be helpful. Because at the end of the day, you guys gotta be able to work with them too. So. You guys don't like them, it's gonna make it really awkward, next couple of years, so,
We can kind of warm the water with the rest of the board.
yeah.
Meeting with them.
Yeah, and I already talked with Spencer and Addie a little bit, that I'll probably have to talk with some more, and maybe Kelly might need to too, at the Health and Human Services meetings. We'll have a whole new board that will know nothing about this, well, not a whole new board, but.
I've been sending them the
Okay.
links, please watch
Yeah,
this, please watch
yeah.
this.
Yeah, cause it's a lot of like new stuff, so that's helpful, so, but yeah, doing a run through on some of this, so.
Are they watching it, do you think?
I hope so, yeah.
Yeah. It's very riveting
There's no
information.
text.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, so,
Okay, that sounds like a good plan.
yeah, so yeah, I'll fight them.
So before we're out, I did not have the 22nd at 9 AM on my calendar, and I booked something at that time.
No, I put it on there because I was asking if the, essentially, so,
I can do the date, I just am gonna struggle at 9.
so no, I can probably change it. There was nothing on our calendar yet. And I just,
You can establish like a set day and time, like monthly meeting.
so technically we would have done on this one, but because normally, so in November, I would have done that, but I couldn't. So, and then I would have done it like, okay, on November, let's do that on this day, today. But life happened, and so let's see if we can do that in January.
I know we've
But-
gone back and forth a little bit about mornings versus end of day, and it seemed like more people like the end of the day.
I'm fine with either one, I just, in the middle of the day,
Yeah.
it's working hard.
Right.
Yep,
And because this year was fairly consistently the fourth Wednesday.
Yeah.
Other than like holidays.
yeah, yep. So when I looked at booking, I did this too, when I booked this room for that January, I don't think there was anything on that day at all. So the biggest thing I was figuring out, at least get January, because in January, is when all of a sudden people will start booking for the rest of the year. So if we want to just at least get January figured out, I can book it at 3, 4, not 4. I do have to pick up kids at daycare, so if you do like 2, 3,
Are you talking time for the 25th?
at least, or
22nd.
22nd,
Or 22nd?
yeah. And then we can, on the 22nd, my hope was that we can then book out for the rest of the year.
Alright, so when we talked about 9 o'clock, like 2 or 3 meetings ago, that was just for 2024. I thought we established 9 o'clock.
Yes, that was for 2024.
Now we're looking at 2025.
We're looking for just January right now.
Right.
And then, yeah, yep, and then we will talk on that day about 25. Because I think that's also when, I mean, I love mornings too, but I also work 9 to 5, so, I mean, 8 to 5
I can do most mornings, I just can't do that morning.
that morning.
It's a chance.
And in theory too, we can also move, and we can also move that day too. I just picked the same day as normal. Because it was the same. I just need a day next month for you guys.
But it sounds like that 9 o'clock on the 22nd works for most everybody.
Yeah.
So do we want to just still keep that one?
Yeah. That they work same time and everything, work for most of everyone here. All right, so we'll just keep that day. And then I'll make note. No carry that day.
There's a chance I'll make it,
Okay.
kind of depends on virtual, right?
Mhm.
Department of Energy, I don't, you just.
9 AM.
They told me they needed me at 7, but then sent me a meeting invite that went all the way till 10, so.
Okay.
I don't know. Good. Highly doubt they can figure it out.
Let's hope.
All right.
Okay, so any,
Just not that smart.
to get us through these next couple agenda items here, anything else from the committee for today? And so then, yeah, next meeting, we'll take a look again at the bylaws. There wasn't any like deadline on that.
Yeah.
And then maybe we'll know more about the Eagle Grant then.
Yes, which she provided updates.
Yeah.
that, more than I had, so.
All right, Joe, any public comment?
I don't, except, I think Gleason Baker Brink is a very good company. I guess I've worked with them a lot.
Okay.
So many different angles. And also, we work with Claire and a lot of Fishback folks too, so
Yeah,
They're both really
they're
good.
both really good.
yeah,
Whatever the committee feels comfortable with is a great choice, either. one.
yeah,
No, it's great dialogue talking about the proposal, and I would make sure that you keep pressure in Eagle on the funding and the grant, and we have a new board, not new board, but changes coming next year.
Yeah.
That'll probably, that'll probably shake some things up, maybe.
Yeah.
Potentially in different leadership roles, whatever that looks like,
mhm,
and then, take it from there.
yeah,
So I appreciate it as the public, and being an elected official, I appreciate all the work that everybody's doing on this committee because it's important. Very critical for Ottawa County, especially as a pro.
yeah. Thanks, everyone, I appreciate
Yeah,
it.
any comments? I don't know who all is still
Oh, yeah.
online, but any
Stop sharing.
final comments from anybody online?
Yeah, this is Jeff Kirchmerich. We're going to be having another gap analysis done next year. It should be ready by the fall. Just keep that in mind. And also, the Recycling Partnership has done some education outreach and has some numbers regarding some waste studies done in Ottawa County. So just keep that in mind when you're going through your work plan, that there are existing and other sources of information that you can be using in the future.
You said
Jeff, do you know who's doing the gap analysis next year?
Our RRS that will be doing the analysis.
they're doing it again?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Did you know that people had issues with them or no?
Yeah, I got feedback from some
Okay.
municipalities
Okay.
requesting some corrections that they found in their community's gap analysis. So, yeah, there were some issues that we want to make sure that don't happen again. And because if this information is going to be used in the planning process, it's really important to make sure they're being comprehensive in their data collection.
Okay, appreciate that, yeah, because I know we gave them some additional information.
Yeah, that's all I had to add.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'll definitely look up Recycling Partnerships. I know they have any.
Just a quick note, this will be my last meeting with you. I am done with the DPW at the end of December, and then I'll be transitioning over to a commissioner for Kent County. So my replacement, my communications and marketing manager, is hired and will be joining on January 6th, our team. So either he or Dar or someone else from Kent County will continue to participate in these meetings.
Well, thank you and good luck.
Enjoy the holidays.
Yeah.
Extra.
Yeah,
Thanks again.
thank you.
Okay. Yeah, unless anybody has anything else, I think we can for a motion to adjourn.
Okay.
All right.
All right,
Well,
happy
thanks, everybody.
holidays.
Yeah, happy holidays.
Thanks.
Manolo. ¡Wow! El mejor, te amo, tengo una semana ya adentro. I was working as a brake salesman in Houston. I thought the dream was. But as for me, I am like a green olive tree in the house of God. I trust in the loving kindness of God forever and ever. I'd like to salute our military veterans. Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, retired team, number 11. The 15-yard penalty will be enforced from the spot of the foul. First down. I'd like to salute. We can't let these injuries be in vain, man. All of those players helped us get to the point we're at. They helped us get, these last 4 helped us get to 12 wins. And we owe it to them to finish this thing out. And that's how I view it. And so it means there's another opportunity for other guys. You know, and look, I don't, you know what happens is, you know, you win 11 in a row, you know, and you lose, and then the sky falls. And I hate to say it, but we're not going to be able to win 11 in a row again for the rest of the season. Just not going to be able to do it. And, you know, what happens is you get used to eating filet, and I'm talking to all of us, and well, everything's good.